Antarctica. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be a great time, man. I tell you, this trip to Atlantis, wonderful cruise, wonderful vacation. We're live, aren't we?
No.
Oh, thank God. Whew. That, that would have been worrying. That would look awful on my resume. You're smiling. We are, aren't we?
We're live.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to our live stream. Actually, this is the second time we're doing this because we had a live stream before this that just went bad. And so,
Composure.
yes.
Composure.
Yes. So we're here to talk about the fall of Avdiivka. It has
Yeah.
finally fallen.
Apologies. The gherkin and drink toast was in the last one that didn't really work out too well.
Yeah. Yeah, like we both did a shot for the victory, and I used my Texas in honor of a wonderful state.
Come on, Texas, do the thing. Do the thing.
Just
Come on.
do the party, we all want to party.
I'm bored. There's
Yeah.
nothing to do. It's the middle of the
Yes,
winter.
it's like it's just so boring now.
I like a luau of some kind, but a big one.
Yeah. So yeah, basically, Avdiivka has been liberated or
Yes.
captured.
Yes.
So we're talking about how Avdiivka, like, it was what's interesting is that the Russian soldiers controlled the southern portion of the city, and then the other forces they were surrounding the city, and they almost encircled it completely. The Ukrainians had less than zero point 0.4 miles of space available to escape from the city, and um, it was Azov, I believe, that was part of it. Or I think, like you mentioned, Azov wanted to go there, or no, Azov was supposed to be there, but they
Yeah.
refused. Or
Yep.
yeah, I heard that Azov was there, and then they were like the last ones to be there, and they retreated.
They
But
were there for a bit and then they were told to like go into the city or something and they said no way and they left reasonably. I can't blame them for that. I think everyone could look at the speed the city was falling and just come to a reasonable. I mean, I didn't expect it to happen just like overnight because this one happened very, very quick, didn't it?
yeah, so people said this was going to be Bakhmut 2.0, but I don't think it was Bakhmut 2.0. I'd say it's more like Bakhmut 1.5.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the reason why 1.5 is because the Ukrainians decided, hey, you know what? Like, let's just actually get out. Let's just get out of the city. Like, what's the point of losing so many soldiers and not achieving anything?
A wise choice.
And on the one hand, the Russians probably preferred that the Ukrainians like just get themselves out because it would have just been like another Bakhmut, like a big waste of time and men and resources.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, so but here's the thing though, Ukrainians escaped when you could say it was kind of too late in a way. Because the after so many losses, after so many losses, right when they're like about to just lose the city, they say, "Yeah, let's just get out before the rest of us are destroyed."
Yeah.
And see, for example, in Kherson, when Russians were in Kherson, they were outnumbered completely. The entire war, Russians are outnumbered. People keep forgetting this. Russians are outnumbered the entirety of the war. Russians are outnumbered. They're not sending in millions and millions of troops. No, they started off with 190,000 soldiers when they initially invaded, and they've been kind of keeping those numbers in that range, right?
No, dude, you're wrong. According to Eternal Muscovite and the NAFO Brigade, there are 10 billion Russian dead.
Oh yes, 10 guerrillion dead Russian
Yes,
soldiers.
yes. There's like every Russian male is dead, and now they're down to sending like dwarves. Can we say dwarves? Is that like politically? They're sending dwarves,
Yeah, I think
um,
that's fine.
because that's like and children. That's all they
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, like and according to Fox News, they're sending Nepalese soldiers.
Wait, are you serious or joking?
No, not joking. So, well, of course, I did not watch the segment from Fox News, but I was hate watching Steven Crowder.
Oh God.
Eh, No, sorry, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. Sorry, it was not Steven Crowder. I was hate watching PBD, Patrick Bet David podcast,
Oh, okay.
and so PBD is okay.
I was gonna
Tom,
say, when did they put Crowder on Fox?
no. Well, like, well, I'm saying that like I was hate watching PBD, right?
Mhm.
And speaking of Crowder, I'm conflating a different episode where it was kind of something similar to that. But, anyways, I was watching PBD, Patrick Bet David podcast. PBD is fine. Tom, he's fine. He's like one of the boomers, but he's fine. Then they have this one guy. He's highly emotional. He's super MAGA, so he's fine. Then there's that one guy who's a big Andrew Tate fan, Adam, and Adam his takes are literally the most bizarre takes. Like every podcast, every show they have, like he'll kind of start off okay, and then he'll just go off the rails about like he'll try he'll go off the rails in an attempt to sound rational and logical, and not to sound like some dumb, crazy conservative, right? Right. In his
And then
attempts,
before you know it, he's like,
but in his attempt, he tries to kind of sound like he's adequate, like he's like an adequate conservative person when he's not.
hmm.
And so, like Adam, like literally made the claim they're sending Nepalese soldiers. Fox, and he's saying, and by the way, Fox News confirmed this. I'm thinking, really, dude? And the reason why he used Fox News is because he realized that, like, because he was having like a previous argument with his co-hosts on PBD. Then
Mhm.
Adam decided, well, he's losing this debate regarding, should they send money, should they not send money to Ukraine or to any country for that matter?
Yeah.
And he was getting roasted really bad. And then he just, for some reason, just decides to throw it out there that Russia is now using Nepalese soldiers to fight Ukraine because Russia's running out of troops. And I'm thinking, dude, last year, your boss, Patrick Bet David, and you were there, invited Colonel Douglas McGregor last year. He educated you guys about this whole
Mhm.
situation, and you still learned nothing from this.
I remember in like November of last year, Fox put out a report that was like, Russia has crushing casualties, 40,000 dead through whole war. It was like, that's it? That's it? 40,000 dead is crushing casualties? Now, I don't know whether their number was correct, but it's like 40,000 dead is like nothing. That's like a fourth of what died at Stalingrad, if even. No, that's like way less. That's like a tenth, maybe, of what died at Stalingrad. Like, what are you people smoking? Crushing deaths count? Like, I, I don't know. I don't know. They want. I mean, I believe. Well, I don't believe. I know one of the reasons Fox is so pro war and so pro like propaganda is because they have a lot of funding from the military industrial complex, a la Hannity. And that's where they like say stupid. One of the reasons they say stupid things like crushing losses, 40,000 dead.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like I'm just trying to fix some things here.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, you're right. Like basically, once Tucker Carlson left Fox News, like it's not even worth watching anymore. There's still a
oh yeah,
few. There's still a
absolutely.
few normal people here and there on Fox News that are kind of adequate, but other than that, it's not really that great to watch.
Yeah, generally now it's just the MIC talking heads. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, since Tucker left, I mean, I know a lot, most of the people I know who even watched Fox said, I just watch Fox because of Tucker. And then he leaves and there's no reason to really watch it. What you have Hannity Hannity, who literally wears a CIA pin and has stock in Boeing and like Lockheed Martin, that guy, yeah, I'm sure he gives wonderful, realistic opinions on the world, right? I mean, just the other week he was talking about invading Iran because they fired a missile at a U.S. military base. How dare they put their country so close to that military base?
Yeah, well, what's interesting, Major Scott Ritter brought this up, and Major Scott Ritter, he's saying, well, our troops should not have been there in the first place, you know?
Mhm.
Like, like he's asking, like, what are the soldiers doing there? Like, why are they there? What is their purpose?
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
something that so many of these like conservative pro-war talking heads don't get. Like they can see like, oh, Russia goes to it's I saw a review of the Putin Tucker interview from John Doyle, fellow Gen Z guy. And he was talking about how most Americans just see the conflict in Ukraine as like bad country invades because they're bad, like they don't even grasp that, and they'll see stuff
Mhm.
on the news like, oh, American soldiers hit by a missile, and they just think like, now why, they take it all personally, they're just like, now why would someone fire a missile at them, someone needs to do something. Never stop and ask like, hey,
Yeah.
why are Americans in occupied land in Syria, which we're technically not at war with and we're not supposed to be like encroaching on? Nobody asks that question.
Yeah.
They're like too childlike to. I mean,
Yeah. Well, like,
it is as Churchill said about
yeah.
democracy.
Well, what's interesting is that on the PBD podcast that I was watching it, where Adam was saying, well, I just want us to be respected and be feared across the world. But why? Like, what does that achieve?
Yeah,
You become hated. Like,
yeah,
people feared a certain country during World War II, if you know what I'm talking about. You know?
yeah.
Yeah,
It.
yeah, but you become resented, right? Like basically, eventually people
Mhm.
start to hate you. And yeah, like how's that good for like first of all, like how's it good? Like on the one hand, you're saying that we're about morality and democracy and freedom, but then you keep the rest of the world in fear, right? So like you're violating
Mhm.
your own principles. On the one hand, you're demanding that people love you, and then you get angry that people don't love you.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the reasons why the country is definitely in the state that it is. You may not like Slavoj Žižek because of his politics, but he did point out the more the contradictions in a country pile up, the less stable it inherently becomes. And that's happening in America. Out of one side of the mouth, the politicians say freedom, democracy, and self determination. And then out of the other side of their mouth, they're occupying like what, 40 countries across the world, using global trade to coerce and cause trouble for people just associating, so much as associating with China or Russia. Like, you can't say free trade and then discourage free trade
Yeah,
because then your
what happened to
country's
free
just,
markets? What happened to free markets,
yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah.
I hope Fukuyama. No, I'm not going to say that, but
Yeah.
seems Fukuyama's predictions have not turned out well.
Yeah, yeah, what happened to the whole free trade thing? Like what happened to free markets? Like basically if you believe in capitalism, you believe that, you could trade with whoever you want,
Hmm.
right? It's like let's put sanctions on this country, okay? So imagine people putting sanctions on us, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what's interesting is that like well this goes back to the whole like Russian invasion stuff. Like people say like what moral right did Russia have to invade? Well, first of all, there are multiple warnings, right?
Yes.
Since 2008 about the whole NATO expansion thing. So, but imagine this. Imagine Russia and Mexico making a deal that Russia will have Russian military bases in Mexico. Don't tell me the U.S. government would not invade Mexico
Oh,
under the pretense of trying to liberate Mexico from the corrupt government.
yeah,
You
absolutely.
know?
And I mean, if Russia did that, they would have every right, and I would support that as just a basic premise of maintaining buffer countries, self defense. Right? You don't need some like massive moral argument as to why America would have the right to do that. But the same goes with other countries too. If America set up, I'm trying to think of a country. Oh, here's one. If America collapsed North Korea and then set up a military dictatorship in North Korea to put pressure on China, I would say China would have the same right of self defense too. Russia has the same right of self defense to protect their borderlands, especially the countries that are literally called borderlands.
Yeah. Like we have the Monroe Doctrine, right? Well, Russia has their own doctrine too. So like
Yeah.
it just kind of
Yep.
makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, like one yeah, so imagine like Russia just installs some pro-Russian president in Mexico, and then the US doesn't do anything about it. They're being patient with it, right? But this new president of Mexico, he just keeps mocking the USA, and then Russia starts to make plans with Mexico on building a base right there. Like, come on, really? Like, the U.S. is probably going to invade Mexico just to prevent this base from existing.
Absolutely. And also just imagine on top of that if that Mexican junta, you know, invaded El Paso or something, launched like a expedition into El Paso. Yes, America would have every single right to do something about that. The same goes with Russia. If there is a proxy state bordering Russia, and
Well,
they're
on
trying to maintain it.
yeah,
Oh, go
and
on.
on top of that, like you also have the historical precedent. Like,
Mm-hmm.
first of all, the Soviet Union as and this is not just Putin. Like, basically, this was known historical fact for a long time. But the Soviet Union just decided to carve out a piece of Russia and call it Ukraine. And then you have Belarus also being carved out, being called Belarus, right? So all this was done without the consent of the people, but going back to like 1920, 22, 1923, and then down to like 1954, and up to 1991, right? So you have this historical precedent where, like, first of all this was Russian land in a country created by communists,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so all this was Russian land. So you have that part. Then you have like the like a lot of cultural, like you have like a lot of cultural connection there, right? And
Yeah.
so yeah, and so then to steal those people away by building NATO bases, right? And so like first of all, like even those people scream that they want to be part of NATO, they should not have a choice because they've been brainwashed to believe that they want to be part of NATO. Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, historically speaking, you have this historical precedent where like the people there were forced to be part of Ukraine, and to be part of Belarus. And so then you have a population that remembers history. You have the people of Donbass who remember the history. You have the Crimeans, people in Crimea who remember the history. And um, And in 2014, it was not just those three locations. It was also going on. There were rebellions in Odessa. There were rebellions in Kharkiv and Dnipro and Zaporozhye. There were rebellions in favor of Russia in 2014, right? And so already had that. Just Crimea, they were lucky. They had that election going on. Then Donetsk, Lugansk, they were not so lucky, but they were lucky enough to hold out for 8 years. Kharkiv and Odessa, they were not so lucky because their rebellions got put down, but still, like it's not just like Russia just imposing their will and Russia just imposing like some historical books onto Ukraine. No, it's also the people living there. They also made
Mhm.
those choices. They decided that, like they decided, hey, Ukraine, if you're not going to be peaceful with Russia, if you want us to become enemies with Russia, then you're also our enemy. We're seceding from the government. Boom. And they're joining Russia.
Yeah, it's
And
a typical neoliberal thing.
yeah,
Self-determination for me, when I like it and I support it, not for thee. And you see the same thing. I actually believe it was just this new year. I've seen articles that say if XYZ wins an election, this is a threat to democracy. So it's not democracy if your opponents win, but it's democracy if you win. It's the very concept of democracy flushed down, whether you agree with democracy or not. The entire concept itself is completely flushed down the drain for basic power politics played under the guise of democracy.
So in the comment section, someone says, legally, Warsaw belongs to Russia.
I agree with that, yeah, and I would vouch for it.
You vouch for that?
I would
Well,
vouch for that.
yeah, that's because you're Czech, so
Yeah, I
yeah.
Poland owes us clay. Damn it, they owe us clay. As long as Danzig goes back to Germany, I'm okay with that.
So you're trying to be fair, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
Poland. I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm like a Gaddafi, but instead of hating Switzerland, I hate Poland. So I look at Poland, I'm like, okay, this awful demonic country can be partitioned into like, this little bit goes to Germany, that's theirs. This little part goes to Czechia, the largest part, that's ours. And then the eastern part can, go to Russia. I think that's pretty fair. And I think everyone can walk away, you know, happy once all the Poles have been shipped to Madagascar.
Well, uh, in one of my streams, I did a review. I did a short little intro to Tsardom of the Slavs, Kingdom of the Slavs. So
Mm-hmm.
the Poles need to calm down and read that book and just simply not be the gatekeepers of Slavic culture while trying to
Mm-hmm.
not unite with the Slavs.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
noticed that they're in.
So
No, I'm not.
basically, no
I'm not
offense.
starting. I'm
Well,
not starting.
here's the thing. No offense to you because you're Czech, right? But when it comes to being like the gatekeepers of Slavic culture while also hating on Slavs and not wanting to unite with fellow Slavs and saying, "Oh, it's not possible for the Slavs to unite," it's usually the Poles, the Czechs,
Yes,
unfortunately, and the
it's
Croats
the Moravians. It's the Moravians.
and I think some Bosnians and some other traders. Um, but like basically, it's usually those people. Like it's those people who are like the most. Oh, we're the true Slav type. They're the true Slavs, but at the same time, they don't want to like unite with the other Slavs. Oh, it's not possible. Why? Because you don't want it to be possible. And then when you actually go deeper, you ask them, well, come on, really? Well, we don't want to unite with Russians. Okay,
Yeah,
why? Okay, why? Well, my communism.
or
Yeah.
worse, even worse, they'll say, "I don't want to unite with Russians because there's more Russians and they'd have a dominance of the alliance. Have
Well,
more kids. Have more babies,
or how about this?
idiots."
Or how about this? Just be happy that they're fellow Slavs. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, hey,
Like,
I have a
yeah.
wonderful solution. Have more kids,
Yeah.
idiot.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, here's the thing.
wow.
Here's the thing. The Slavic Union, ideally, those borders will not exist. Like it'll be Slavia.
Yeah,
There's the Slavic Union where all those countries exist as they are with those borders, but it's just a Slavic Union and they'll have like kind of like the EU, but it's the Slavic version of that. But then
yeah,
there's an alternative to that, Slavia, where uh all those Slavic countries unite and those borders are erased.
yeah. I support
Yeah.
Slavia. I'm a Slavia nationalist myself.
Well, like what's interesting, yeah, I have no problem saying Slavic nationalist because, you're for all the Slavs to be one people. And we are. Like we're actually
Except Poles.
here's the thing, like we're all the same nationality. It's just that we're separated by religion and by language.
Yeah, religion, distance.
And fake barriers are created by religion and language. But
I love how when
historically
when we
we have
start
spoken
talking about
the same language.
Slavia,
Yeah.
when we start talking about Slavia, we become like art hose, and we're just like, borders are just imaginary lines, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
get like a bob wig. I'll start talking about like the Arctic monkeys and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, but basically, yes, Slavs should just unite, and I don't care what the polls say. Slavs should just
Dropping
unite
idiots.
and be one people. And because here's the thing, like they don't want to unite because they want to be more like more like the Germans and more like the French. I'm thinking you want to be more like the people that want to annihilate you. Like you want to
Yeah,
be
it's
like, and here's the thing, you're not really imitating. You think you're imitating, but in reality, you're doing the whole yes, massa, yes, massa. That's what you're doing. No, that's what you are. Like, no matter how much you imitate like your enemies, the enemy always sees you as someone who does this. Oh, yes, massa. Whatever you say, massa. Uh-huh. Yes, Russia sucks, massa. Yes, yes, massa.
well, yeah,
Just
and
saying.
it's literally exactly what's happening between Russia and Ukraine,
And here's the
just
thing.
on a
Here's the thing.
larger scale.
I'll keep going forward. I'm sorry, but like you got me on a roll. So here's the thing. What's funny is that the Polish nationalists, like, like it doesn't matter if you're like a left wing Pole or right wing Pole. They're all Polish nationalists for some reason, and they all support democracy. But then I'm thinking, hey, if you're a right wing Pole, why are you supporting democracy? So like, why are you so proud of Polish democracy, bro? Like it's a foreign concept. It's from the Greeks. It's not Slavic. Yeah. It's
Then
like
then they'll be like, "Well, look at your language in Russia. Don't you use a Greek alphabet? Drop the Latin alphabet, then, dude. You want to play that game?
yeah.
Okay."
Yeah. But seriously, the Poles and the Czechs, and again, I know you're a Czech, I know it hurts you when I say this, but unfortunately, the Czech Republic has kind of done the same thing. Like they want to be the
Yeah, you're
gatekeepers
right.
of Slavic culture, but they don't want to unite with Slavs. We want to be more like the
Yeah,
Germans. You want to be more like the people who really hate you.
yeah. The funny thing is how like the Czech language is like it's right in between of German and Slavic. But mind you, that's because Bohemia was part of like Germany, medieval
Oh
Germany,
yeah,
for
yeah.
longer than it's been an independent Slavic country. To be fair, you still have a lot of cultural artifacts from that.
Yeah. So yeah, yeah, like the Czech language is more Germanic of all
It
the other
is the
Slavic languages, but still like uh a lot of it can be understandable too. And Inter-Slavic, they're working on there is a project about Inter-Slavic language. It exists. And I read some text from the Inter-Slavic and I understood it. It's pretty easy to understand.
Is it kind
Um,
of like a lingua franca?
so basically, they just combined all the common words that all the countries have, and they were able to kind of create this paragraph, this huge paragraph saying, "Hey, this is what the inter-Slavic could sound like if we just do that."
Oh,
And
yeah, so it's like a
yeah,
lingua franca.
so basically, it's not going back to the ancient Slavic language because, no modern person is going to waste their time learning that. But you have this inter-Slavic language where all the words that we have are just combined, and it's like, okay, I know this word, no, I know this word. Oh, okay, this makes sense.
Hmm.
And and of course, there is a slight variation of how certain words are pronounced, but you know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
right? So yeah, like yeah, this word is not like uh, Russian, but you know that but you know what that word means.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, so anyways, yeah, like that was just like a little we got sidetracked with the history here because we're beyond Putin. Putin is like talking about like ninth century. We're going back to the ancient Slavic days
Yeah.
to 532 AD.
We going way back.
Yeah.
We're
Oh,
going back to 410 when we first hit the calendars, man.
yeah. Well, actually, when I'm done with that Kingdom of the Slavs book, we'll go way back. We'll go back to Alexander the Great.
Take me back to Hyperborea, man.
Oh,
Take me
seriously, seriously,
back.
guys. Like that book mentions Hyperborea and whoa.
We got to get it translated. That would be a wonderful, wonderful work.
So that book, like the first half of the book is written in the Russian of 1722. So I'm having trouble keeping up. I have to like read it really slowly and carefully just to kind of get try just to understand what the author is saying because I know these words, but like they're not pronounced in a modern way. They're pronounced in a archaic way, and so I
Yeah,
have to slowly read the book. So it's going to be a little bit hard for me to like translate uh
dude.
the book.
Based.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, we're going way back. We're going back to like the ancient, the ancient times, back to Hyperborea. Yeah, so yeah,
We're gonna bring back Hyperborea edits. We're gonna make them the best, perhaps, ever. That's gonna get spicy.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, we got a little sidetracked there with the history.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but basically, yeah, Avdiivka has fallen. That's good news.
Yep.
And I wonder what's next now. Like, I wonder what is next because what's interesting is that even with Bakhmut, like before Bakhmut became Bakhmut, they already predicted Bakhmut before it became Bakhmut, and they're predicting other towns around
Yeah.
it. And then like Russians strategically took over all the other towns, and then like were able to just go into Bakhmut completely. And then with Avdiivka, and Avdiivka was kind of like there was like a pre-Avdiivka kind of thing before Avdiivka turned into Avdiivka.
Mhm.
There was kind of like already like this pre-early kind of prediction about, Avdiivka could be next after Bakhmut. But what is next now? Like I wonder like what is next?
Um, is it? It's not Slavyansk, is it?
I don't know. Like that'd be interesting.
I wish I had a
Uh,
map in front of me. That would
because but
be
here's the thing. Let's not forget that in the Donetsk region, in the Donetsk and Lugansk region, a lot of the troops fighting there are not federal troops. They're still the Donetsk and Lugansk soldiers. So
Hmm.
whenever you see some bearded dudes with big beards and they look a little bit more inadequate than usual, those are not the regular Russian troops that came in 2022. Those are the Donetsk military where they're a little bit more laxed on the uniform, they're a little bit more laxed on the appearance. And they're a little bit more lax on certain units that are over there. If you know what I mean.
You killed 250 N words. Here's a medal. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah, yes, there are certain yeah, because like if you see any monarchist units that are in the Lugansk and Donetsk region, it's because they're fighting for the Donetsk Lugansk army, and they're
Mm,
more lax with volunteers who create their own units. the
yep.
the official Russian federal military will have their own official standard symbols and everything. But when you see certain Orthodox symbols, when you see like monarchist symbols, those are obviously soldiers fighting for in the Donetsk and Lugansk military. And if you see certain Hindu symbols
Yes.
yeah, on their patches, yes, those are also the Donetsk and Lugansk military.
That it's funny. Like that's become like the way to say those words without getting in trouble. Certain Viking symbols, certain Hindu symbols popping up.
Yes,
Um,
yes. And we're not talking about the Ukrainian Hindu symbols. We're talking about the
oh
actual
no,
Hindu
no, yeah, like
symbols.
Rusish has
Yeah.
some. Actually, I'm happy to see that they have a Slavic Kolovrat.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. The
that's good.
Kolovrat, yeah, it's more authentic towards Slavic. Yeah.
Yeah, but there are Hindu and
Symbols. Yeah.
Tibetan units there.
Yes. When we talk about Tibetan units, we're not talking about Tibetan unit. We're not talking about
Yes,
actual people from Tibet.
yes, we're talking about different groups.
Certain sons. Certain sons. They're
Yes, yes.
Hyperborean sons. Yeah.
But it's yeah, you're still seeing Donetsk and Luhansk units popping up.
Yeah.
Even though, again, I remember hearing something about like there's no more men in Donetsk and Lugansk because the Slava Ukraini, yeah, Slava go like suck NAFO's
Crack.
thing.
I don't.
Go
They're
smoke a
pickle.
crack pipe, okay? Go smoke a crack pipe, NAFO.
All right. So in the chat, someone wrote, "I'm a quarter Polish, by the way." One
Yep.
one of our
Shoes.
faithful viewers is a quarter
Yes.
Polish.
You have to
Sorry, bro.
choose. Do you cut off your one of your legs or one of your arms? You have to pick one.
We're kidding about that, by the way.
Yes,
In
yes,
my,
we love
yes,
you.
oh, do this in Minecraft.
Yeah, you don't actually have to cut off a limb. We're only
Only
joking.
Minecraft. If you play Minecraft, that's where you do
Yes.
it. Yeah. So the guy wrote, "Make Poland Orthodox again." Okay, I'm down with that.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Mashallah, brother.
Yeah. Mashallah. Poland will be Orthodox.
Yes.
The RF military is advancing in Zaporozhye. Okay, so the Zaporozhye region. Okay.
Hmm. Seems that's the next one.
Yes. So and he wrote, "I'm a Tsarist Pole." Okay.
Ah. You don't need to cut any limbs off, my friend. You're fine.
Yeah, okay. You're okay. You're pardoned, despite the
Yes.
fact that despite the fact that you're one quarter non-human. You're pardoned. Hey, hey,
I mean, he's
hey,
hey, hey,
to all my Polish friends, I'm just joking. Okay, like we're
he's
joking here.
Polish, okay? He's not Swedish, right? He's still mostly human.
Yeah. Mostly. Hey, Gabriel. Yeah, what are you? So you're a quarter pole. Like, what other parts are
Oh
you?
dear.
Like, uh-oh, could be something worse. Like, I just hope you're not wearing a certain hat.
Oh, I'm sure he's Gabriel. Can we have a talk in my office? I'm so mad. I haven't been able to use this thing climbing lately. It's been snowing like a
Yeah.
foot every
Oh
week.
yeah. Like, isn't that the weapon that was used on Trotsky?
This,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, cringe. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh
Gabriel just.
dear.
Oh no, Gabriel. Gabriel, why'd you say that? Gabriel,
Did he
no.
say English?
Anglo-Saxon.
Oh, okay. Where's the clipboard? We got to take his name down, put it on a list. Off to Madagascar with you. We joke. We joke.
We're joking. We're joking. Oh, you Angloid.
Oh. What have Angloids ever done? What empire have Angloids ever had? Yes, I'm a Mongoloid.
You want to be racist? Yeah.
I love that video so much.
Like the virgin Angloid versus the Chatham Mongoloid.
Okay, okay. Well, what's your point? I don't care. You filthy, disgusting, filthy,
Yeah.
disgusting.
No, here's the thing. There are based Angloids.
R.I.P. My
Yeah.
boy Mosley.
Yeah, they're based Anglo. Actually, one of my forefathers is Grand Prince Saint Yaroslav of Kiev. Okay, okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Based, based.
Because of that bloodline, okay. You're forgiven. Okay, because
Highly
of
very.
that. Yeah. So, yeah. So he is a Russian. He is somewhat Russian then. If Grand Prince Yaroslav, I don't
He's like
remember.
an artificial Kievan.
I
Let's
don't.
look
I
him into that.
don't. I don't remember if Prince Yaroslav of Kiev, if he was a saint though. I could be wrong because we have so many saints now. It's yeah.
Is I don't know if this was serious or like a joke. Isn't like Prigozhin being considered for it or something?
Well, Prigozhin is half Russian, half Big Echoes.
He did okay. I will say he did seem like a decent fellow for being in that position of power.
Unfortunately, he was only decent.
That's
He could,
true.
he could have been better.
That's true. Sainthood is not about being decent. Sainthood is about being good.
Yeah,
What?
I thought you were going somewhere with that. So,
Oh no, no, no. I was gonna mention my R.I.P. Prigozhin shirt, but I'm not in the
um,
mood bringing it out.
Prigozhin. And here's the thing: his Wagnerites, they did a lot of the work in Avdiivka.
Yeah. Mhm.
Currently, the former Wagnerites, and by former Wagnerites, I mean like they're now, I guess, officially federal military.
Yeah,
So
I believe
yeah,
by now they've been incorporated into the federal military, and they're working alongside these Stormzy units as like experienced uh people at and punching time cards, shall we say.
yeah. And yeah, so Wagner basically they continue to. And what's interesting, this would have been like a Bach point 2.0, but it turned out to be Bach point 1.5. And I guess we could say it's all because of Wagner being there. So
Yeah, I
it-
will say I've
yeah,
noticed that the Russian victories, especially strategic ones like this, have been increasing in frequency too. Have you
hmm
noticed that?
yeah, and especially where Russians are outnumbered, they're still capable of creating like massive damage to Ukrainians who
Hmm.
outnumber the Russians. I don't know what, 5-1, 4-1.
I don't know the numbers, but they are just drafting and pushing territorial defense forces in a lot. You're seeing a lot of guys in olive drab green uniforms, which are the territorial defense forces, which are far less trained. It's not their fault. I say that like it's their fault. They're getting drafted, thrown into uniforms, and said like go to the front. Right? You can't really blame them for being untrained. But
Yeah.
I've like I said, I've noticed a lot more territorial defense force uniforms ending up on the battlefield these days.
Yeah, it's really sad. And a lot of them are in their 40s. They're not 20, 30-year olds anymore. A lot of them
Mhm.
are in their 40s now.
Yeah,
And they're already starting to send out recruitment letters to women.
yeah. I've seen a few videos as early as a month ago of women being pushed to the front, probably to like rear, well, to the front,
Well,
probably to like the
yeah,
more rear echelon positions. But
yeah. Did you see that one stupid Ukrainian female patriot where she was so patriotic she was going into battle while pregnant? Yeah, yeah. I was waiting for that expression on your face.
that's that's all I got.
Yeah. So
That's all I got.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. In the video, in the video, she gets captured by Russians, and here's how she gets captured. She says, "Hey, don't shoot, I'm pregnant." And the Russian soldier says, "What do you?" He says, "What are you doing here, pregnant?" Like you know how people say, "Hey, I'm
I'm hungry.
yeah, I'm hungry.
Hi,
What?
hungry.
Hi, hungry." Yeah. So she goes, "Hey, don't shoot, I'm pregnant." And the Russian soldier responds, "What are you doing here, pregnant?" He's like grabbing her, kind of put her like behind him, like okay, like you could get out of here, right? Like he just grabs her. What are you doing here, pregnant?
Good
It,
Lord,
it was
man.
pretty funny. It was pretty funny watching that. I'm
That
thinking, okay, so like right when like there's no soldiers around you to protect you anymore, you just yell at the Russians, "Hey, don't shoot, I'm pregnant." And the Russian guy goes, "Okay, what are you doing here, pregnant?" Yeah,
403s, man. 403s be like that.
especially Ukrainian 403s.
I I got in a discussion with a guy a few days ago actually, and he was like, "Oh, there's more Czech prostitutes than any ethnicity in Europe," and I was like, let me just type that one up. No, no, it's Ukrainian.
Well,
Ukrainian
he's not completely wrong though about Czech women. So
Czech.
yeah.
I will say this is a known fact. Czech and Hungarian women are fall prey to that the highest of any EU countries, unfortunately. And I feel like a large part of it has to do with like the economic situation in both of those countries.
Mhm. Well, I'd say Czech and the Czech Republic is doing way better than Ukraine. Not
Oh my,
just
yes.
not just currently, but I mean even before all the craziness, Czech Republic is doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like Hungary where you have Orban, strong guy trying to fix things, trying to take power,
So
consolidate things.
according to Gabriel, the indicators that the RF military is advancing across the front lines and defenses are collapsing in real time.
Hmm,
Okay, so collapsing in real time. I mean happening in real
collapsing it.
time. I mean
How
happening in
can
real
we?
time. Yeah.
Actually, I think I have. Hold on.
So, like, are the Russian troops currently just going are advancing on all fronts right now? And then
Maybe
how?
they hit that point of like are you familiar with the turnover point?
No.
So the turnover point in a conflict is where you can have two forces with unbalanced power, and there's not enough of a power disparity for one to break through the other. And perhaps Avdiivka might have been that turnover point where there's not enough Ukrainian organization, there's not enough manpower, material to actually maintain border cohesion, like frontline cohesion, and the Russians break through. It's let me see. Hold up to the library.
So what you're saying is that like basically that was like the turning point or the boiling point.
Yeah, so the crossover point is it's partially discussed in Achtung Panzer here by Heinz Guderian. Great book, pioneered third generational mobile warfare. It's a wonderful read. It was written, I believe, in the 20s or the 30s, something like that.
Hmm.
It's one of the foundational texts for modern warfare. And he doesn't necessarily discuss, like I said, the crossover point, but um, after Achtung Panzer, after the Second World War, it the thinking became more crystallized and developed, and they came to the conclusion that there is in peer on peer conflict a crossover point where the power disparity can be, there can be a serious power disparity, but it can be maintained by non-direct factors, right? Like, for example, if you're looking at a conflict between Russia and Ukraine, um, Ukraine can have a lower force output, but they can keep the staying power up by shoveling guys into it. By just pushing manpower and material in, you can fight a lower sized, better organized, better equipped military, but you are making such sacrifices as manpower, material, and eventually, you're fighting one of those conflicts. If you're doing that, you're fighting something saying, I can outlast you, I can sacrifice 3 to 1 of yours, and come out on top. It's similar to how, like, a great example is the Chinese conflict in or my bad, the Sino Japanese conflict in World War II. How the Japanese were a smaller, better organized fighting force, and they were fighting against the Chinese nationalist and communist forces, who were significantly larger in number. They were just terribly organized, very corrupt, poorly equipped. And as a result, the Chinese forces were pouring millions of guys into the conflict, uh, whereas the Japanese were just using better organized, better trained, better equipped forces to fight significantly larger forces. Now, whether or not they could have maintained that conflict without the United States getting in the Second World War is completely separate discussion. But it's very similar theoretically as to what's happening with the Ukraine-Russian war right now.
Yeah. Well, Avdiivka was also a psychological factor too,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
it was a morale booster. Okay,
Mhm.
like okay, we lost Bakhmut, but Avdiivka, this is the one we hold now. And so
Yeah,
it was
and
also a coping mechanism too.
mhm.
It's like, yeah, you guys are going to hold on to Avdiivka the way you held on to Bakhmut. Well, yeah, you're definitely not going to. Hold on, low system resource may affect your audio quality. And I think we're fine with the audio, so don't know what's going on here. So, anyways, so yeah, so it looks like they tried to turn Avdiivka into Bakhmut. They obviously failed, and
Mhm.
like it was supposed to be just another big morale booster. Yeah, Avdiivka, we're holding on to this, right? And
Yep.
then like it looks like because I did read something about Russians going into Zaporozhye. I mean before Gabriel sent that text, but like and then he says, "Bring me home." Hey Gabriel, like later on, like not tonight, like but yeah, like, at a different time for a different show, I'll bring you on, okay? Um so anyways, it looks like it looks like Russians are going to go into Zaporozhye because Russians have been planning to go to Zaporozhye through Zaporozhye before.
Mhm.
So like maybe now with Avdiivka just destroying the morale for the Ukrainian military. Um, and what Gabriel is saying that like the Russian forces are advancing on all fronts.
Yeah.
Um, the Ukrainians are probably thinking, okay, what do we do now? Like, how do we
Yeah.
fight this, right? Because how many more Bakhmuts are we going to have? How many more Avdiivkas are we going to have? And with Kherson, when Russians held Kherson, Russians understood, hey, we're actually outnumbered here, right? The whoever was in charge of holding on to Kherson was did not look at the logistics properly, and they did not really supply and fund and reinforce Kherson as properly needed. And the Russians were outnumbered in the Kherson area, in the city of Kherson. So the Kherson region, like Russians control most of it, but the city of Kherson is controlled by Ukraine. But Russians held on to it for a year. They took over Kherson literally without any fights. Like the whole Kherson region probably had a few explosions here and there. Like there were some mild skirmishes, a few artillery shots, but that's it.
Yeah.
Russians calmly, like a few weeks into the war, Russians were calmly entering Kherson. Like not even a few weeks, I think a couple days, they were just going into Kherson like it's nothing. And the only major resistance were like five Ukrainians with signs, "Yeah, Russians, you will not pass." And they were walking in front of military vehicles, hoping the Russians will attempt to run them over. You know what the Russians do? All the Russian military vehicles, they all start backing up, and then the lead vehicle just kind of makes a right turn, goes down a different street. You know, like like yeah, like because they were expecting the Russians will attempt to at least attempt to try to run them over, right?
Mhm.
And they're like shocked, like, wait a minute, Russians, hold on. We're the protesters. You're supposed to attempt to run us over. You know, you're supposed to kill us. We're civilians, right? Hold on, you're destroying our narrative. You know, right? You're destroying our narrative,
On
right?
this day in Tiananmen Square, nothing happened.
Yeah. Like what's funny is that like it's funny. Those were the only Ukrainians protesting. The other Ukrainians, like they're like filming Russian tanks and vehicles going in. And what's interesting, the mayor of the city was like, "Cool, awesome, you guys are here finally." You know, just straight up collaborating,
Yeah.
like literally, like everything was like all honky dory. And no, seriously, and there's a video where Russians are going into Kherson, and people, like majority of people, are just walking down the street as if nothing's happening. They're
Hmm.
not, they don't even care. Like, there's only one guy with the camera filming the whole thing, but people are just walking in and out the grocery store, kind of, just oh, cool. Some thanks for entering the city. Like, they just don't care, right? And so, anyways, Russia's held on to that city for almost a year. Yeah, almost a year, right? And then finally, when Ukraine takes it over, Russians, the reason why they left Kherson is because they realized, okay, we're outnumbered, so let's just leave. Because Russians, here's the thing, they could have done the same thing as Ukrainians did with Bakhmut. Russians could have stayed in Kherson. They would have fought some long battle. Kherson would have been rebel, and they still would have lost it. So the Russians decided, let's pull back all the forces north of the city, in the city, and just move them out south of the city. And that's where Russian forces are today. Russian forces are literally like less than a mile
Wait,
outside of
wait,
Kherson.
wait, hold on. You mean to tell me that it's not about just destroying shit? You mean to tell me fighting conflicts is not just about destroying cities and people's livelihoods? Hold on. What country do you live in? You can't be an
Wait a minute,
American.
wait a minute. You mean to tell me Russians care about, preserving a city? And
Blasphemy.
you
Terrible.
mean to tell me Russians care about
Hmm.
they care about, trying to look good, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Wow.
I will see. Have you seen any news from those Abrams that have reached the front lately?
Well, there's that one story about the one Abrams that took out uh the Russian tank, but again, it was actually two Abrams that had to take him out. And the Russian tank, from what I understand, like it was fine. It was damaged. It was on fire, but it was fine in the sense that it could still drive, and the people in the tank were just going to drive back to safety. Then a second Abrams shows up and then does like the final blow,
Hmm.
right? Like, is that the story you're talking about?
Oh, no, just in general, if there's any news about Abrams getting blown up.
Hmm. No.
Hmm. I would have
I mean,
expected.
like not recently. I mean, like I think I heard. Well, there were some stories like what, like a few weeks ago, about Abrams just being destroyed. But yeah,
Oh,
yeah. I thought,
just curious.
yeah, I thought you were going to tell me something like recent or
Oh
something,
no,
something new.
there's no humor, there's no hidden joke,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately. I wish there was.
Yeah,
Um,
but yeah, there were some stories about Abrams being destroyed like a couple weeks ago. So yeah,
uh, uh,
what's interesting though is that so Ukrainians said, "Oh, once we get those javelins, we're going to start winning." No, HIMARS. It started off with the HIMARS.
yeah.
Yeah, once we get those HIMARS, oh yeah, right. And what's interesting is that like I looked at the damage ratio that HIMARS do. First of all, why do you have HIMARS so close to the front? They're not supposed to be that close to the front unless you're trying to harm the civilian population, right? And what's interesting is that like if you look at all the damage that HIMARS do, like literally, what are they doing there? What were they doing there? Because one, what are they doing there, and why are they so close to the front lines? You're not really going to hit
Mm.
like, actual Russian targets. You're going to hit civilian targets. So, anyways, so the HIMARS were supposed to come. Ukraine was going to win. They were going to win. HIMARS get destroyed. Nothing happens, right? The javelins are next. The javelins are coming. Javelins show up, right? Russians just keep winning.
Yeah, I
So
remember. Dude, like they're knocking out 100 tanks a day. Um, uh, they still have like 15,000. Your numbers are very optimistic, my friend. It's like they cast javelin, Russia casts FPV drone. No more javelin loses.
yeah. Well, like, what was after javelins? Was the next big weapon?
I know there were M triple seven
Tigers. It was the
howitzers,
tigers.
leopards,
Leopards.
leopards.
Why did I say tigers?
I know exactly why you said
Oh,
tigers
okay.
because German tanks were burning on with Hindu symbols. Were burning on the
Yeah,
Russian steppe
that's
again.
right.
It's not even been 80 years, people.
Yeah.
Come on, give it
Yeah.
like some
This time,
time.
yeah, yeah. So it was the HIMARS, the the javelins, the leopards this time. This time Russia's gonna lose for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh no, dude. The Bradleys are gonna get it. Gets blown up by a mine.
Yeah, yeah, the Brownies were after the leopards.
Yep,
Yeah.
the Bradleys were after the
Yeah.
leopards.
Yeah, because I remember the Bradley after the leopards, oh, the Bradleys are going to be there and they're going to win.
And then I think it was at Robatine. There were like 8 blown up leopards and like
Yes.
15 blown up Bradleys. It was like, huh. I remember. I still
And
laugh.
after the Bradleys was the Abrams, but at this time when
Yep.
the Abrams were there, it wasn't so enthusiastic. It was like, oh,
Yeah,
Abrams. Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
they did show
remember.
Abrams in Avdiivka, like I guess you kind of for that propaganda morale boost. So there's
Mhm.
Abrams in Avdiivka. Well, so much for that.
I remember with the leopards. Uh, I laugh every time this comes to mind. Someone posted all the leopards that got blown up at Robatine, or however you pronounce it, and some like middle-aged Swedish woman was like, "Send more," and someone had to explain to her like, "There are no more. They sent all of them. Finland sent all of its leopards. There are no more leopards to send. Don't you understand? Like, you can't just send more. There's no more. They all got blown up." Like,
Yeah. Well, like I believe Germany was asking Poland if they could give them back some of their leopards
yep.
because they were depleted, and
Yeah,
Poland's thinking, no, we're keeping these leopards.
so most people don't know how like expensive military equipment like that works. They'll lease it like you lease, like most people these days lease a car. So say Poland leases leopards from Germany, and pretty much always part of the contract is if we decide that we need these back, you have to give them back. If they're not paid off, which they're never paid off because the world runs off debt. Um, so they're trying to like force Spain, Poland, other countries to give them back their Leopard tanks to send. I just read today that Denmark is sending its entire artillery supply, like all of its artillery guns, all of its munitions. They're going to send it all to Ukraine. Uh, Madness, people, madness.
Hey guys, also don't forget to support the channel. Go to the Streamlabs link. It should be in the description or in the chat. And like keep supporting us because we're providing you guys some fun, entertaining contents, especially about the current situation. So yeah, like
Right.
go to the merch store and buy some of the merch too. But
Yes.
yes, so going back to like the leopards. So Germany's asking Poland for these leopard tanks back, but Poland is saying no, we're not going to give them back to you. But you're saying that like according to the contract, they have to give them back.
Yeah. According now, I don't know the specifics of this contract, but um, most military equipment leases. That's how it's worked. That's why when people were like, Russia's running out of tanks, you could tell they weren't running out of tanks because they weren't recalling leases. If they were recalling tanks from name their military allies, from Iran, from I believe Turkey has some Russian tanks, from Venezuela. If you saw that happening, then yeah, they would have been running out of tanks. But you didn't see that happening. So it was very clear that the whole Russia running out of tanks, 10 million javelins was like, yeah, no, they're not. By all metrics that you could verify if they were running out of tanks, they weren't running out of tanks. But NATO apparently is running out of tanks because they're trying to recall their weapon shipments.
Yeah. So I'm going to like send link for the Streamlabs because for some reason I had a little mistake. Okay, fixed it. So anyways, yeah, so with the whole Avdiivka situation, um yeah, it looks like I don't know where it's going to go. Like I don't know like so as we discussed, it looks like Russia's going to keep advancing.
Yeah.
And Zaporozhye is something that Russia has been planning like for about a year now. And Russia, I think they control the that electric power plant. It's very
I think
important.
they still hold it. Russia still
Yeah,
holds it.
yeah. And so, um, like it's still interesting how like Russia is still like hanging on to like the same amount of troops they have since the beginning of the war, and just so much damage being done. And we said Slavyansk could be next. So Slavyansk, what's interesting about Slavyansk is that was like a very interesting. It was a big stronghold for the rebels in 2014 when Ukraine was fighting their civil war. Um, the rebels controlled Slavyansk, and Igor Strelkov heroically defended the city for as much as he could. But the Ukrainians, they were literally destroying the city. They were literally just bombing the civilian areas. And Igor Strelkov gave orders to pull out of Slavyansk because he understood that he has no artillery equipment outside the city. He has no tanks. He only has a bunch of infantrymen. And the Ukrainians are going to encircle them completely. They were already partially encircling them with tanks and artillery. And Igor Strelkov realized that Slavyansk has to be surrendered. So he retreated out of Slavyansk and moved all the way down to Gorlovka and Donetsk. And there were people on the internet judging Igor Strelkov for what he did, but he did the right thing because he preserved a lot of rebels. He preserved a lot of people. And Um, yeah, and so the Ukrainians were able to easily take over Slavyansk because of that. But had they stayed there, Igor Strelkov and his men would have just been destroyed completely
Mhm.
from a distance. And so it looks like General Syrski decided to kind of do something similar with Avdiivka, right? But Slaviansk could be very symbolic because this time the Donetsk, because I'm pretty sure the federal forces are definitely not going to really try to go into Slaviansk. I'm pretty sure the Donetsk forces, the Donetsk soldiers, for them, it would be truly symbolic to
Yes.
finally re-enter Slaviansk once again. And the local mayor, who's a traitor to the rebels, because when she was the mayor, she like basically was supporting the rebels the entire time. Then when the rebels left, she became super pro-Ukrainian like overnight. And she was talking about how the rebels were holding her hostage and the whole city hostage, and how these rebels are funded by Russia, blah 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 blah, all these lies, right? So when the Donetsk rebels, when they get to Slavyansk, they're going to uh remind some people of what they said in 2014.
Mhm.
And yeah, so Day of the Rope is coming to Slavyansk.
Oh God, I think you just got us banned.
I'm pretty sure like most people don't know what it is, so
I think that word is like verboten on YouTube. But hey, we ball, full send. Yeah, screw it.
So
We got this.
but anyways, oh wow.
We ball.
I thought you had nothing more to drink, bro.
I remembered that I have a little hiking one.
That should take on
We,
your hikes, huh?
yes, it's for hiking. We ball, screw it. You know what? Full send, baby. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and by the way, it's basically Lent now, and we gotta be
I,
following.
yeah, I'm gonna have to make up
Yeah,
for that. Damn it.
yeah. Hey, don't be cussing on the Lord's Day, dude.
I'm trying to think of a. Give me a minute. I'll come up with one. I don't have
Sweet
any.
Sweden is going to annex Denmark, according to Gabriel.
You know, if Sweden does that and all of NATO stomps on Sweden's neck, I would enjoy that.
Yeah,
Really enjoy that.
yeah. Although Trump never said this officially, he never said this. It's the mainstream media spreading their lies as usual. But when Trump said that, well, Trump never said this, but it's been applied to him as if he said it. But the whole like if Russia attacks NATO, then he would just let Russia do it whatever it wants, right? And just imagine Trump just allying with Russia against NATO.
Dude, what a whack timeline would that be? That would be the greatest time. Like, we're doing bad. The West has fallen. Billions must die. Boo! Straight up. No more NATO. Jubilee. Everyone's happy. Finland wiped from the face of the earth. Peace can return to Middle Earth.
Yeah, like basically, um, honestly, like the countries that are in NATO would be like, wait a minute, if the US is invading us, should we just get out of NATO and just be an ally of the US? And just kind of it's kind of this weird like inversion of alliances.
After we Anschluss Greenland and Canada.
National Greenland. Make Greenland the 51st state.
Dude, I honestly, if they made Greenland a state, I would totally move there.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When the South rises again, the South should Anschluss Greenland.
I'd be okay with that. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've dude, I cannot wait till that to the Canada Anschluss, and we can have reasonably priced maple syrup.
You could just go to Vermont or New Hampshire.
Yeah, but I don't want to support either of those commie states.
Aw. Yo, here's
No,
the thing.
they're quite
Like,
pretty. I actually
well,
almost went
here,
to
here's
college.
here's the thing. So Vermont's is like the number one for maple syrup in America. Canada is still number one internationally. Canada's number one
Mhm.
internationally, but Vermont is number one in America of all the states. And there's actually one company in North Carolina. They do North Carolina maple syrup. It's very rare, but this company exists.
Hmm.
And New Hampshire, it's a border state with Vermont, so they do their own maple syrup as well. There are a few local towns, but Vermont is basically the big one. And where am I going with this?
I don't know, but I feel bad for Europeans not
Yeah,
knowing
no,
the
actually,
definition
okay,
of
so
real maple.
oh yeah, like a friend of mine from Kazakhstan, like when I was living in New Hampshire, she said that like her friends never had maple syrup ever. They had just basic syrup, I guess, but not like maple syrup,
Yeah,
right?
like the fake syrup.
Yeah. And so like she took like a bunch of bottles that she's going to she bought a bunch of bottles and she's going to hand out some of them to her friends at work in Kazakhstan. And there are different variants too. Like
Hmm.
some of them were from Vermont, some of them were from New Hampshire, and some of them were kind of more organic, one was less organic. It's kind of yeah. And like so she got like different variants and like she was just so impressed with the maple syrup. Oh yeah, my friends are going to love this maple syrup.
Oh yeah, and like I can't stress
Oh
it
yeah,
to
yeah, we're
Euros.
talking. Oh yeah, yeah. We're actually talking about we're actually talking about Anschluss in Canada. So maybe we'll have their healthcare.
Oh,
You
that would
know?
be nice.
No, actually,
Finally, I
no.
don't.
Actually, we should not Anschluss Canada because like it would be so unfair if we just get rid of their healthcare.
That's true.
Yes.
Like I hate that there if you get sick in America and you don't have health insurance, the only answer is just to commit seppuku like that moment.
What's funny is that at least Canada will provide it to you for free. They'll help you. They'll help you commit sabuk.
Dude, I will say I never cared for Trudeau, but when he said he will euthanize homeless people, man, dude, he got my vote.
Oh
Fidel
wow.
Castro's son, say what you will. He got my vote.
Oh come on, dude. No way.
No, it's just
Yeah.
depressed people that he wants to euthanize, which honestly, halfway
Well,
there.
I mean, like, yeah. So, yeah, but the thing is, like, at least Canada, at least they'll do it to you for free. In America, it's like even that will cost you. Like even
Yeah.
committing Sabuku will cost you.
What is that about? What do you mean seppuku is illegal? What's the penalty? Death?
Yeah.
People, what's
No,
going
no,
on here?
but seriously, like, yeah,
People
I'm
actually.
afraid that if we ostracise Canada, we'll just probably get rid of their healthcare and be like, yeah, privatize everything, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be nice though to Anschluss Canada.
Like, what's interesting, speaking of Anschluss in Canada, was the Fallout games, they were made in the early 90s, 1992, I believe, when the first
Doesn't
one.
that happen in Fallout?
So here's what happens. What's interesting is that in the 90s, in the early 2000s, no one knew that people will be talking about China the way they talk about China today.
Yeah.
Like people thought that China was this backwaters commie country um, that's not strong enough, that doesn't have a strong military. They're not going to succeed economically, right? And then all of a sudden, only what in the last 10 years, China is like this big threat. Only like 10, starting 10 years ago, it becomes this big threat, right?
Yeah,
And
it's
so
because
in 1992, 1993, when Fallout comes out, the first Fallout game, right?
mhm,
They create a scenario where it's the future, the year 2077, actually prior to 2077, like 2000, like 30 or something like that. All of a sudden, in a game that's made in 1992, where no one would have believed that China will become a world superpower, right? In 1992, like 1 year after the collapse of the Soviet Union, the Fallout video games talk about China being a superpower and China is threatening to invade Alaska. So the United States responds by invading Canada in order to protect Alaska. And so here's the thing, they don't just go through Canada just to get to Alaska. As the United States is going through Canada, they're annexing it at the same time.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
it's
it's
like
funny that you
so
say
it's
that.
like it's kind of like what Poland was afraid of in 1939 when Germany was taking over Czechoslovakia. France and the Soviet Union were the two countries that were obligated to protect Czechoslovakia based on their contract. France kind of chickened out. The Soviet Union told Poland, "Hey, can we please use your land to go through your land and get to Czechoslovakia?" Poland said no, right? And like so, in this video game of Fallout, I think Canada also says no. Like United States, you cannot pass through Canada to protect Alaska. And the U.S. says, "Well, you know what? We're just going to annex you." So yeah, here we go. And boom, boom, Canada
That's
is annexed. And what's interesting is that you have this Great War for Alaska. Like America kind of kicks China out of Alaska and everything, but still, what's interesting is that like we're kind of almost like reliving this video game. We're like living, like we're like the prophecy like is kind of coming true almost. Like, are we going to annex Canada pretty soon?
no, no. We will annex the Hoover Dam and the new California Republic. That's who we're going to annex.
I mean, from the new California Republic, not for
Yes.
Cal.
No, we'll
Okay.
take the whole thing. We'll take the
Okay.
new California Republic. Every single bit of it, boy.
I'll wait. True to Kaiser.
I'll wait.
I'll,
No,
I'll
it's
wait.
funny. It's funny you say that because like China, which I guess apparently very few people know this, has huge political investments in Canada. Massive.
hmm
Very few people know this.
Okay, so basically, so there might be a precedent to annex Canada.
Yeah, there very well
Because
could be.
because like we agreed that if Russia had a military base in Mexico or was going to build a military base in Mexico, we would definitely invade Mexico to prevent that Russian military base from being built.
Hmm.
So what you're saying is that if there are huge investments and um, Chinese investments in Canada, and there might be there might be a Chinese base being built in Canada eventually.
Where's my mustache? Where's my mustache? No, very possibly. I mean, only time will tell, but it
Yeah,
definitely does seem like America is, and this is a whole topic for another live stream, but America is definitely pushing for conflict with China.
yeah. So Canada, get ready to be democratized. The,
I
the
Day of the rake is coming, baby. Day of the rake is coming.
yeah. So yeah, Canada, get ready. Your healthcare is undemocratic. We'll give you true American free privatized healthcare.
Non-negotiable.
Yeah, yeah. Your freedom is not going. Your freedom is not free.
Your freedom is non-negotiable,
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah, yeah. You think you have your free healthcare? No, no. We'll give you a democratic privatized healthcare.
I'll give you
How about
free
that?
health care.
Yeah,
Come here. I just want to talk to him.
yeah, yeah. We will do it. We're protecting you from China, Canada. Yeah.
Oh my heavens. I think that does hit all the nails on the head for the night though, yes?
I don't know. Does it like so? Like, is there anything else we could add about Avdiivka? Anything else?
Not really about
No.
Avdiivka. I mean,
So yeah, like it's just obvious that Ukraine is losing the war. So
yeah, it's
anyone
quite
who keeps saying
obvious.
Russia's going to lose eventually, when are those Ukrainian tanks going to be outside of Moscow?
Yeah. It's like when months ago someone asked Sergei Shoigu, "Is Russia gonna win the war?" And he was just like, yeah, yeah, they are. It's just what is it going to
Yeah,
cost? And it
yeah.
seems to be costing less than the Americans
Well,
thought that they'd be able to.
I was watching the Jimmy Dore show and Andrew Monte. Uh, he said that basically now that like Ukraine screwed up their negotiations with Russia, well, whatever compromise Russia has for Ukraine is going to be a lot worse now for
Oh yeah.
Ukraine. For Ukraine, it's going
If
to be a lot worse.
if they can survive as a country,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Russia might just straight up annex it. Maybe give a little bit to Viktor Orban for an
Well,
allegiance.
Putin gave that long speech, and so like he knows his history. He knows that those are Russian lands. By the way, prior to this stream, I was watching um a film made by the Odessa Film Studios.
Oh
And
dear.
well, it was a Soviet film, but it was more of a perestroika Soviet film, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but still Odessa Film Studios located in Odessa, Ukraine. Oh, by the way, when I was in Odessa, like I was on the public transport and like I saw the actual studio. I'm like, oh, that's the Odessa Film Studio. I watched a lot of your
Hmm.
movies as a kid, a lot of your Soviet films, right? But anyways, the Odessa Film Studio on YouTube, they have their movies for free, and I was
Oh,
watching a movie about Prince Daniel of Galicia. And in the movie, they don't mention Ukraine at all or the Ukrainian people. They mention the Rus people, the Russian people, the Rosichi, the Rusich people. And they don't mention anything about Ukraine at all. There's only Russian people, and they're protecting Europe from the Mongol hordes. So,
I mean the attempt. I'm very happy to see the attempt to Ukrainize Russia gone down the drain. I remember. Have you ever seen? I think it came out in 2006 or seven. King Arthur with Clive Owen,
okay, yeah,
and how the knights, his knights are Sarmatian.
yes,
I remember when the whole war started and people were like, "Oh, dude, they're Ukrainian." It's like, is that why they yell Rus like
yeah.
in every battle?
Well, in the film commentary, the film director said that originally for half of the nights, the actors, they actually wanted to bring in some guys from Russia,
Hmm.
and there's a reason why they wanted to bring them in from Russia. Also, if you look at the map of the Sarmatians, they were in Russia. Like I don't think they were in Ukraine. Maybe they traveled to
Ukraine
Ukraine.
is Russia.
Well, yes, Ukraine is Russia, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
I believe if you look, the maps formations were more like in the modern Russian steppe
yeah.
today.
I believe so.
Yeah, and so
Oh, but
yeah.
not a spy. It's not accurate, dude. It's a good movie.
Hey,
Okay.
let me tell you something. King Arthur is a good movie, and here's the thing: the soundtrack is based.
Oh, dude, the
And
soundtrack is good.
yes, and also um, the director's cut is better.
It's good. Yep.
It's like seriously, and people say, "Oh, director's cuts they don't do much difference." In King Arthur, there's a major difference.
Yep.
In King Arthur, they get rid of scenes that are not needed. They replace them with scenes that actually are good for the story. They actually build the story up, and it's more entertaining. And the battle scenes are like cut more beautifully in the
Dude, yeah.
director's cut. So the
They're
director's cut is
so
way better.
they are so good. And it's just a good film. It's just a really good film.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, there are like some historical, well, not some, but quite a few historical inaccuracies. But that movie, still pretty good though. Story wise, it's good. Like,
Yeah, I'm able to
yeah,
watch it.
like you like all the characters. You like all the characters. Like
Oh yeah, yeah,
even the ones that are flawed, like the knights who are flawed, you still like them. You just like the
yeah.
characters.
The Saxons are likable too. The
Yeah,
Saxons are well, they're not likable. They're like
we're
they're
Slav, bro. We're Slavs here.
yeah. The
We're
the
not into
Saxons,
those
they're cool.
Saxons.
They're cool.
Actually, yeah, the Saxons are cool though. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like
Yeah.
really freaking cool. The Woads are cool. Like
Yeah.
everyone is likable in some
Well,
way.
in reality, in the actual historical situation, the Romans basically told like the local collaboration government that was there, right? Like their version of the collaboration government, hey, you guys are still paying us taxes. We're moving all the Roman legions out of Britain, but you guys still got to pay us taxes. We'll check up on you to make sure you pay your taxes. And that's
Yeah.
what happened. Like the local collaboration governments, they actually held off the barbarians for about like I don't know, like 60 or 100 years, something like that,
It
right?
was it was a serious part of time.
And then the barbarians realized, wait a minute, the Romans aren't there anymore. Because
Yeah.
that's how the Romano British developed.
Hmm.
They're Britons, but they're still loyal to Rome, but they're semi-autonomous. They're basically autonomous. And they're Britons and they're running the country themselves, but they simply just send off their taxes to Rome at the end. And
Yeah.
so I guess the barbarians north of the wall had some confusion because they're thinking, wait a minute, wait. like many years later, like a couple decades later, they realized, wait a minute, the Romans are gone. Oh, I guess we could invade, and that's when they start to fully invade Roman Britain, and that's when Roman Britain completely falls. But for a
Yeah,
while, it was kind of like autonomous, and there were no Roman legions there, and the barbarians like did not realize that, because
yeah,
the Romano British were there, and the
yeah.
Romano British, they imitated like the Roman legions, they imitated the Roman what do you call them, the formations, like well testudos, like not
Oh
testudos.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, testudos, yeah,
They
testudos.
acted. I mean, they weren't just British. There were like ethnic Romans there too. Um, but yeah, that's a very fascinating
Yeah.
subsection of history that I feel like a lot of people
But still,
don't.
like the Roman legions as a whole were officially gone. But like
Yeah,
the collaboration government was still in power, and yeah, like it's just fascinating because the barbarians thought the actual Romans were still there.
oh yeah, they thought
Yeah,
they were there for decades, and then it was pretty much one day they were like, "Wait a second, that's not the Romans." And then they
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But it's also cool how it's kind of like a mythic era in history too, because there's so much no like unknown, uh, so much partially known, and it kind of segues into the Arthurian era. It's a very interesting part of history.
yeah. Yeah, see, Putin, we go further. We go further back, Putin. We go
Right.
back to the Sarmatians.
That's right.
Yeah, and like there is historical arguments to be made that Sarmatians are Proto-Slavs too. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Now, because like officially, like the Slavic origin goes to like the Proto-Slavs, the pre-Slavs. They go back to Attila the Hun. They're some sort of small little tribe that were a conglomerate of other tribes, and then like eventually they kind of developed on their own.
Hmm.
But like that book that I'm reading, it kind of confirms some of the other theories that other historians have that all these nations are oral Slavic nations, but they did not use the word Slavic.
Hmm.
And like they're under different names, but they're all Slavic,
Yeah.
based on I forgot what like based on cultural clothing and other things, weapons and yeah. Like
Hmm.
so, yeah.
Interesting.
Like I need to keep reading that book. It just goes deeper, but it talks about the Sarmatians, and it confirms the theory that Sarmatians are Proto-Slavs, and maybe the Goths, Ostrogoths, Visigoths, and even the Vandals. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Dude, we was Slavs and shit.
yeah. We were Slavs. Actually, that's more plausible than the whole we was Kings thing. Just saying. Yeah,
Right, you're right.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, so like the whole Slavic thing, that's a different topic for another day. But
Mhm.
yeah, I guess yeah, with Avdiivka, we covered what we could have covered.
Kind
Yeah,
of
there's
poked into related topics.
yeah,
Uh,
but it was fun. But yeah,
yeah, oh
the
yeah, yeah,
main
definitely.
thing is that Avdiivka has been captured officially by the Russians. It has fallen, and that's a good thing. Hey, maybe Ukraine will actually just decide, you know what, screw this. Let's just negotiate on our own without any Western powers intervening.
Yeah, huh.
Or it could also lead to a coup against Zelensky. So, yeah.
Fingers crossed. Fingers
Well, think
crossed.
about it. Sierski could have given the order to retreat
Hmm.
just to show that he's unlike his predecessor.
Hmm.
Sierski could be saying, "Hey, I'm trying to preserve our soldiers' lives here," and Sierski could become like a somewhat of a hero in the eyes of soldiers. Who cares about them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Very possible.
he could use certain units to go into Kiev, declare martial law, arrest Zelensky, make himself interim president,
Hmm.
or just straight up dictator of Ukraine.
Yeah, very possible.
You know, because that'll be based.
That would be highly
Yeah.
based.
And here's the thing. He declares himself dictator of Ukraine. makes a deal with Russia to end the war.
Change his name to Rurik the Third.
Yes. And then here's the thing. He becomes dictator of Ukraine, ends the war with Russia, concedes with Russia, says, okay, so just leave us alone. We'll become allies. And so here's the thing. And so, like, and then Ukraine will be viewed worse than Russia because Ukraine basically will inherit a dictator. Yeah. And this dictator will become allies with Russia, and
Mhm.
there you go. Like, no EU, no democracy, no NATO.
Oh, think of it now. Think of it now.
Yeah, and maybe he'll restore the rights of the original Ukrainian Orthodox Church and get rid of the fake Orthodox Church that's taken over.
Yeah, huh?
So yeah,
Only time will tell.
yeah. Well, a friend of mine asked me what he's not actually asking this, but others are asking, like how would I justify this war? Well, from a historical perspective, like this war justifiable because Ukraine should not exist at all. It was always Russia,
Yeah, huh?
right? Um, and then of course people ask, well, why about the Germans? Yes, I believe Germany should have every single right to take over Danzig by force.
Mhm.
Yes, I believe that. Also, I'm against Austria existing as a nation. It's not fair to the German people that Austria exists.
Yeah,
Au-
it's
Austria is
not.
Germany. Austria is Germany.
And
Austria
they
has
will
no
say
right to
that.
independence. I don't care like what some Austrian nationalist says. No, you have no right to independence. You don't.
Most
You're Germans.
Austrians would agree with that,
Well,
frankly.
I hope they do. I hope they do. But yes, so historically speaking, yes, Russia has every right to invade Ukraine, even if the whole NATO thing. Here's the thing, like like the whole NATO thing, that's more of a mainstream argument, right? Me, I really didn't care about the whole NATO or non-NATO argument. Like, I just wish Russia would just invade Ukraine. Like when the whole Davos situation was happening, I'm like, yes, the rebels, and then Russia turns down the rebels, kind of, like, uh, here's the thing, like people think, oh, I'm constantly praising Putin. No, I was angry at Putin for 8 years in a row. Like,
Mhm.
he betrayed the Donbass for 8 years. Only 8 years later, he decided, yeah, okay, I don't like the whole NATO thing. Let's do something. Oh, wow. Took you 8 years to do that, What the
Yeah, huh?
why so long? Yeah, so what else? So Russia had historical reasons. The whole
Yeah.
NATO thing. Well, Russia did warn no NATO membership for Ukraine since 2008. Don't do this. We could invade. Don't do this. Number three, Zelensky, he as a responsible president who has full responsibility to end the war in Donbass, to prevent the invasion of Ukraine, did nothing to prevent the invasion of Ukraine. Zelensky, as president, had every responsibility. The whole responsibility lies on him. All he had to do was simply not join NATO.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so
It
there
was
you go.
literally just maintain yourself as a neutral country. And when idiots are like, yeah, they're a sovereign country. No, 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 no. They're a buffer country. And buffer countries' jobs is to not get involved. It's to not pick
Yeah.
sides. Otherwise, you're going to piss one of the two sides off and get invaded.
Yeah, so Zelensky is really responsible for this war.
Oh,
It could
absolutely.
have been prevented. Like no one for like no one like it's not as if he wasn't warned multiple times.
He was. He was.
Yeah.
He just ignored them because he was getting Coke money from Joe Biden
I thought it was Boris Johnson.
and Boris
Yeah.
Johnson.
Yeah.
Must have been
And here's the
some
thing. Here's the
crazy
question. Where is Boris
snow
Johnson now? Where is
flurries.
Boris Johnson now? Like where is he? Like he's not on the political scene, right?
Where is
he's
Gondor?
yeah, he's not suffering the consequences. He's not. He's not. He's just
No, no.
yeah. He basically he literally sent Ukraine to its own death, and now he's just sitting relaxing somewhere, enjoying life,
Hmm.
free from politics. while the Ukrainian people are suffering.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, also, Ukraine was, from a religious, spiritual perspective, Ukraine has been persecuting and murdering Orthodox Christians for 8 years in a row, not just
Hmm.
in Donbass, around the whole country, north, south, east, west, around the whole of Ukraine, not just in the Donbass. You had Ukrainian heretics attacking Ukrainian parishes all over the country, burning them down, beating up priests, beating up parishioners for 8 years in a row. And so any Ukrainian soldier who claims to be fighting for Ukraine while being Orthodox is it's an oxymoron because you're literally fighting for a country that's literally destroying your own churches behind your back. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, and recently there was another photo being sent on Telegram of a priest who's been viciously, brutally abused. And like, this is what Ukraine is fighting for. So morally, I cannot justify Ukraine's so-called defense. Here's the thing: if Ukrainian soldiers want to save Ukraine, all they have to do is surrender and just allow to be subjugated and liberated and absorbed into Russia. Ukraine has no right to exist. Sorry, it doesn't. That's all I
Hot,
gotta say.
spicy
Yeah.
take. Well, it's
Yes.
not very spicy,
So
but it's correct.
yeah, but yeah. So Ukraine has no right to exist. Belarus has no right to exist.
I often wonder why Belarus has not just rejoined
Well,
the Russian.
Lukashenko, he doesn't want to have regional powers. He wants, supreme leader powers, right?
Mm,
For example, like Russia, like they actually seriously discussed this, and Lukashenko admitted this, and this was before Lukashenko was almost couped, right?
yeah.
Because before he was couped, he was kind of, flirting with the West, assuming that they will like him, but no, the West sponsored a coup against him anyway, and that's when he kind of was like, okay, now I'm really
Mhm.
mad, right? Now he's
Gotcha.
all, Putin's like a friend right now. But before his coup, he was kind of flirting with the West, talking crap about Russia, like once in a while, right? Just kind of, slowly shift over to the West. Then all of a sudden, the West betrays him by having that coup. He kind of shifts back. Oh yeah. Russia's Belarus's friends. So, but
Mhm.
Lukashenko, prior to his coup, which was what, in 2021, that failed coup against Lukashenko. Yeah, it
Something like
was 2021, summer of 2021. Yeah. So this failed coup against Lukashenko. Before that, like a couple months before that, Lukashenko made a video where he said that where he and Putin had serious talks where they were thinking of creating a union between the two countries.
that.
And so basically for him, for Lukashenko, they had a position for him, like something like a Speaker of the House kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
So, and Lukashenko was saying, yeah, well, they're offering me this position. What kind of position is that? Oh, I'm thinking, well, technically, it's a very powerful position when you think about
Mhm.
it, you know? Like,
I
like
do
because
understand
here's the
his
thing,
side.
but here's the thing, you have a Speaker of the House of a union of two countries, right?
Hmm.
So, here's the thing. So the two countries are actually subject to, so there is a federal government above the two then.
Hmm.
So each country will have their own federal governments, but you're technically above them both in a way, and
I
you're the
do get.
Speaker of the House. Although, yes, you're not like the leader of the union, like you're not the head of the union, but
Yeah,
you're like, but in the building in the building that holds the union, you're the Speaker of the House. So you're still very powerful. So
being
I don't know.
being your own boss is pretty nice. So like,
Well, that's one of the reasons why the Soviet Union fell apart is because each party boss from each
mm,
republic wanted to be their own boss.
yeah,
I,
I mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
disagree with
Lithuanians, yeah,
Lukashenko.
Estonians, yeah, Latvians. Uh, your leaders did not really care about you. They just simply wanted to be their own boss and to receive finances from the West. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with Lukashenko on that, right? But I can understand his position and why he stands that way. So I can get it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it makes sense, but like it's just kind of interesting how
Hmm.
like he just doesn't like want Belarus to unite with Russia, but he still wants to be like Russia's best ally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But he's been very careful about not sending troops to Ukraine, although he constantly complains about Ukraine illegally crossing Belarus's borders.
I
And
just send them to
yeah,
Poland.
yeah,
Send the migrants to Poland. It's okay.
yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know why Belarus is staying out of the war because if Belarus enters the war, yeah,
Oh, yes.
yeah, Ukraine's done. Ukraine's done for.
Ooh, oh, terribly sorry.
Yeah, but yeah, but
Um,
Belarus. So yeah, Ukraine and Belarus should not exist. Austria should not exist. Austria's
yeah.
independence is illegal. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I don't care.
Looking at you, NATO. Looking
Yeah,
at you.
Danzig should not belong to Poland. I love my
Yep.
Slavic brothers, but no, Poland, you must accept this. Give it back to Germany. What else? Um,
Um, all of the Baltic countries and Finland should be erased.
well, they sh well, like someone said, oh, Poland should become part of Russia, so the Baltic
Yes.
countries should just become like okay. So like, I don't want the revival of the Russian Empire, but I will say this that the
Yeah, I'm
Baltic.
sure you don't.
Well, I'll say this. Well, no, because those countries will eventually rebel in the future because they're ungrateful. So, like, what's the point of feeding a bunch of freeloaders who
Yeah, that's
will definitely lie about you and talk about how you subjugated them? So, no, not worth holding on to them. But absorb them in more like vassal states, kind of. Yeah,
true.
like let them run their own thing, but don't feed them. Just have them kind of um, be your BITCH. So basically, if you need a military base on their territory, you'll keep it there and not pay them anything. Just
Yeah,
kind of keep it
reasonable.
there, keep them in check, and again, let them run their country the way they want it, but don't help them, don't finance them, and they don't pay you taxes either. They're not obligated to do anything for you, but they're only obligated to just obey you, or else you will actually bully them for real,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, like so just kind of keep them as vassal states, right? But
Hmm.
not like truly absorb them into Russia because who needs such ungrateful people?
Yeah. No, nobody wants to work with Estonians. Not even Estonians.
Well, here's the thing. There's a NATO base in Estonia, and there's so many opportunities for local Estonians to get a job on a NATO base. No, they don't hire Estonians. They'll hire some sort of African from Africa to work as a barber on a NATO base in Estonia.
Pay attention, Estonians. Pay attention.
Yeah. Think about this, right? It's like, well, because under the Soviet Union, you had Estonians working for Estonians, you know? But
Hmm.
or you had or you had Estonians working on a Soviet military base, you know?
Yep.
The Soviet military base did not hire someone from Africa
Ungrateful.
to
Downright
work,
ungrateful.
yeah. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, like the Estonian economy was being questioned by, their leader. I think their president's a female who has a son who transitioned. So,
Yes.
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 Yeah, so
You guys are doing great, aren't you?
yeah,
Huh?
yeah, Estonia, you
Yeah,
guys
yeah.
are doing
You want
so
more of
great.
that
Yeah.
NATO
Yeah,
money?
you're free from those communists. But let's be honest, like whenever they say communists, they're not talking about communists. They're just saying Russians, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, it's like how
Yeah.
when the Russians just say like denazification, and people are like, "Oh my god, I can't believe." Oh, but they're boobers. It's like no, there. That just means anyone that's not us
Yeah,
that hates
basic.
like us.
Yeah.
You idiot. It's called cultural context.
Yeah. Yeah, so Estonia basically is not doing like basically, well, at least we don't have communists. Yeah, you guys are not doing so great. Yeah, you have your NATO bases to protect you, but from what actually?
Yeah, you guys do have communism. It's gay space communism, and it's worse than you could have ever thought it would be.
Reminder from Gabriel. Reminder, original Saxons were Orthodox. Okay, true.
Really.
Yes, yes, you Czech Catholic. You listen here. Well,
I would have
prior
thought they
to
were pagan.
prior to the schism of 1054 AD, there was one church.
Oh yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, and so here's the thing. When the schism happened, the Celtic countries were actually with us, with the Orthodox.
Yeah, then we beat the snot out of them.
Yeah. William the Conqueror, that cringe Roman Catholic, decided, you know, I'm going to conquer all this land and install all the bishops with my bishops who are loyal to some pope in Rome, and boom, yeah. But but the Celts for a while, for like about 100 years post schism, they were with us. That they disagreed with the Pope. They're saying,
Huh,
oh, the Pope,
interesting.
yeah, they're saying, yeah, screw the Pope. Yeah, we're with Constantinople on this whole issue. And so, they're in communion with us. Then William the Conqueror shows up and says, nope, boom, 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 I'm taking over, except the Pope. And he replaced the bishops with his own bishops. And so that's why today, uh, the Irish, Scottish are basically like Roman Catholics. Well, the Irish, not the Scottish. Scottish
Yeah,
are,
the Irish most definitely are
well,
still.
the Scottish used to be hardcore Roman Catholics until like the Reformation. So yeah,
Yeah, unfortunately. Then they became godless Protestants. But
yeah,
Zen,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Here's the thing. Another, if and that's why the Ukrainian church, the new fake Ukrainian church was created, and it was only so that like they could um be subversive and subvert the faith and start to accept degenerate lifestyles, just like the Protestants are.
yeah.
Because Bartholomew, the patriarch of Constantinople, the ecumenical patriarch of Constantinople, he's like he basically took part in creating that fake Ukrainian Orthodox Church,
Hmm,
and he's also leaning in towards NATO liberalism and kind of and the OCU, the Orthodox Church of Ukraine, is kind of leading in that direction, and they're becoming more and more liberal, and they're uniting with the UGCC, the Ukrainian Greek Catholic Church, which is also becoming more and more liberal, Europeanish. And that's the thing what
yeah.
Ukraine is fighting for. Ukraine is fighting for European values, and modern European values are GHEY, or actually GAYBUTTSEX. Okay.
Well, I called it from the beginning of the war when it got prolonged. They're going to want, what's the war about? They want to be European. So what's going to happen is a lot of them are going to die. A lot of Ukrainians are going to die. And if they do win the war, they're going to get the full European treatment. They're going to get flooded by foreign migrants.
Yeah.
And they're going to complain the whole time,
Yeah.
but they'll get exactly what they asked
Yeah,
for.
but at least we beat the Russians. Like, assuming, like, hypothetically, let's say they won last year, right? Let's say
Yeah.
they won the war against Russia last year, right?
Cut
Okay,
off their nose to spite their face.
yeah. Like, let's just assume they won against Russia last year or 2 years ago, right? Like, Russia just stuck; they couldn't go anywhere, right? And okay, yeah, you join NATO, and you will have those migrants coming into your country, but
Mm-hmm.
at least you beat Russia. You'll have like the Skittles transitions going on, the transformations in your country, but at least you beat the Russians, you
Yeah.
know? It's like,
What's the
yeah,
cost? What's the cost, people? What's the
you,
cost for these things that you're being told are important? That's an important
yeah,
question a lot of people need to ask for.
yeah. And yeah, so like basically, like, why not just simply accept the historical facts from the past and say, you know what? This the historical the history is more important. The cultural ties are more important. The religious ties are more important.
Hmm.
Why not go with that?
Yeah.
No, we just want to be jumping around in our Ukrainian ethnic suits. It's just
Madness, Commander.
yeah, okay, and you just want to remain poor the entire time.
Hmm.
No, but we want to be like Europe. We want the French tea, the German tea, German beer, all that stuff. It's like you're not going to have any of that. You'll have cheap imitations. That's it.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
all it is. I'm
Yeah.
starting to get a little
Yes.
out of it.
Yeah, I noticed. Well, yeah, so that's basically our whole like we talked about Avdiivka, we talked about a lot of other topics.
Yep.
Yeah, but we're just glad that Avdiivka has fallen. Looks like um, Zelensky is screwed. Um, yeah, but Zelensky's going to ask for more money, so yeah. That's
Moshi
a
Moshi Biden. I need a 5 billion katana to kill Nanjing children. That's what he's gonna say.
oh wow.
Nothing
Yeah,
happened at Nanjing. What are you talking about?
Minecraft. Yeah.
There weren't even 500,000 Chinese there to begin with.
So anyways, anyways, um, so remember, guys, like, share, subscribe. The links to the merch channel, sorry, to the merch store, the links to the merch store, they're right there in the description.
Go to
The
the merch
link
store.
and the links to the donation sites, they're also there. So if you want to donate, go to streamlabs.com. Streamlabs link is right there in the description. So send us a donation, or you could literally help us out by going to the merch store, buy yourself some shirt, some mug, whatever. Yeah, either way works.
Or
Because
even if you can't do those, like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out with the
exactly.
algorithm.
Exactly. We need the algorithm to notice us. We need people to
Yes.
know that we exist. And well, certain people should know we exist. Yeah. So,
Grandma says I'm a handsome
and
boy.
guys, because I gotta keep paying not a spy a living wage. And if he's starving and suffering, if he lives on the streets, it's because of you guys not supporting the channel. So yeah, I'll hold you guys accountable. You 387 actually. Hold on. Uh, yeah, all of you 386 subscribers. If you're not supporting this channel, I cannot support Not a Spy, and he's going to die of hunger. He's going to end up homeless, living on the streets. And
Please, sir.
it's because of you guys.
Please,
So
sir. But a cup of
yeah,
ramen.
see
Please, sir.
already it's happening. It's happening already, guys. So
Alms for the poor,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, like, share, subscribe, go to the links, support the channel.